Yo, what's good? It's Capital X TV. And we are on episode 7. We're getting up there, man. I'm going to keep it a little on the serious tip for this episode. You know, the last one I had, touched on kind of serious, So I'm going to keep it on the serious tip before I lighten it up, maybe in the next episode. I want to talk about the Netflix film Trial by Fire. Trial by Fire popped up, for me about a week ago, and I checked it out because, I know a little bit about this film, or at least the topic that the film is covering. The film is about a Texas prisoner that was executed, Cameron Todd Willingham, back in 2004. And the reason why I know this case, and I know it very well, is because back when I was first getting into the abolition movement, I was looking up anything that I could find about the death penalty. I was reading books, attending lectures, doing research online. And so this was very early on when someone had told me, oh, this is a case that you should look into. And it was Cameron Todd Willingham's case. And unfortunately, he had already been executed, but they were telling me why I should look into this case, which I did. So this was like 6 months after his execution. And man, when I read into his case, and it was heartbreaking, Cameron's case was one of the top, 3 or 4 cases that I had looked into going into, case studies. Anthony Haynes was up there as well. Anthony Haynes' case was one of the, I think it was the first one, if I'm not mistaken. But like I said, Cameron's case came along and, somebody had suggested it and I looked into it. And I'll tell you, I'm not a lawyer, I didn't study law or anything like that, but someone had taught me how to look up, and read cases and things of that nature. Actually, the prisoner that taught me how to get around, the law library, was a very famous prisoner out of New York City. I was serving time on Rikers Island, and, going to the law library was a way to meet up with somebody you wanted to talk to, or if you wanted to work on your case, they had legal aids there and whatnot. So I went up there, and this brother Larry Davis used to sit up there for as long as they would let him. And I got to meet Larry and kick it with him a few times, and he showed me how to get around the law library. And it actually, got me out more than once because of the knowledge that he blessed me with. So big ups to Larry Davis, may he rest in peace. But it's a crazy thing that I got to meet Larry Davis, and in such circumstances. And like I said, he blessed me with something. So looking into Cameron Todd Willingham's case, I can clearly see, where the miscarriage of justice happened. It was, I was like, how can anybody miss this? And that happens with a lot of cases. Prisoners that have an innocence claim, their main problem is getting someone to listen and look, and it's like, people get this tunnel vision, which was the case with Cameron Todd Willingham. It was this tunnel vision. They suspected it was him, and when you looked for evidence to bury someone, of course you're going to find it. The saying, if you look for the bad in a situation or in someone, if you look for the bad, that's what you're going to find, all the bad. But if you look for the good, then you will definitely start finding the good. But in this case, they weren't trying to find any good. They figured, he did it, and that's all there is to it. And I'll guarantee you, if you went, to the state of Texas, you'll still find a lot of people that believed, what they were told through the media and because of the trial, And that's the thing, even if the state, reviewed the case and saw the mistake, chances of them owning up to it are slim to none. You know, when it's even when they do own up to a mistake or a miscarriage of justice, they try to do it in a way where they don't outright say we made a mistake. You know, they try to really whitewash it because they don't want people to lose faith in the system. Well, I don't know about you, but I would probably have more faith in a system that can own up to their mistakes, and they can correct those mistakes. That's when I would respect the system. But of course, when it comes to the death penalty, I mean, you can't correct that mistake. And this is one of the arguments that we make, as abolitionists of the death penalty, that if there happens to have, been a mistake, or, someone may have, held back some evidence that could have proven innocence, once an execution takes place, there's nothing we could do about it. But if they were sentenced to life without parole, then of course something could be done about it. And, in the last 10, 15 years, you see, I'm sure all of you have read how many exonerations have taken place off of death row. I mean, if you add overall, not just death row, I mean, the number just, I think it's 10 times the amount. But just from death row, you're talking, it's in the hundreds. That's pretty scary. And if you really do the math and figure, well, if this many were exonerated against this many, that have been executed, how many more innocent people have been executed? Because Todd Willingham's case is definitely one that we look at as, an innocent man has definitely been executed, So it's cool to see that they're putting it out there now, even though it's way after the fact, but to put it out there now so people can start to see what we in the abolition movement face, as opponents of the death penalty. It's really hard to try to open one's eye when they just refuse to look at anything other than what they've been told. Well, they had a fair trial, that's that. No, that's not it. That's that. There's more to it. We can make errors, and we do often make errors. So, I actually mentioned Cameron Todd Willingham in probably more than one song, but I know the one that comes to mind is Legal Lynchings, which isn't released, out as music. I just made a video. I recorded the track and made a video. I was amped up at, 10 years ago. I was amped up about something, and I just, recorded the song, went out and filmed the video all by myself and put it up. And I mentioned Cameron Todd Willingham. So that was 10 years ago. And like I said, I read about his case after his execution in 2004. So this film has been a long time, coming. So if you haven't checked it out, I definitely, implore you to check it out, and hopefully, whether you're, for the death penalty or on the fence. If you're on the fence, hopefully, man, watching a movie like that and seeing a video like this that I'm posting will get you onto the proper side. Maybe you can keep researching and looking into, the pros and cons of having the death penalty. And if you're totally against, man, hopefully watching that film will open your eyes enough to put you at least on the fence, if not on the other side. Because there are alternatives. Not wanting the death penalty is no disrespect against the victims. Trust me, we feel for the victims and we feel for their families. I definitely do. But I also can't, turn a blind eye to, someone that's being executed. I've met with their families and what they go through, and they too are victims, and people that are pro-death penalty, they feel those people have given up their rights, to be victims. They're not. A mother's child is being executed for making a mistake, and sometimes it's 15, 20 years after the fact where this individual has, changed completely, so they're not even executing the same person. You got to look at things like that, and I mean, when it comes to alternatives to the death penalty, such as, imprisonment, life without parole, I mean, that's a very harsh punishment. People think that it's soft because they get to live. Well, if you think it's soft to get sentenced to life without the possibility of parole, I challenge you to spend 24 hours locked in a cell. You suffer. You definitely do. And then coming to other countries, living in a country that has abolished the death penalty, you can see that there are alternatives to the death penalty, and it works. Actually, living in a country that opposes the death penalty and has abolished the death penalty, it changes the attitude of the people. Because in the U.S., they're quick to say, fry him, hang him, I want to see blood. But here, it's different. They have compassion and respect for human life, no matter what the circumstances are. Because when someone crosses that threshold and kills somebody, there's reasons for it. And by executing someone or throwing them into solitary confinement first for 20 years and not even looking at it, just cleaning your hands up, found guilty, they're done, they don't even exist anymore. We don't learn anything from that. We just don't. When you rather try to rehabilitate an individual and get in their head, maybe you can find out what pushed them, to commit such a heinous crime. We learn from it, and it'll help us to deter it from happening again. We can stop it that way. But that's just my opinion. So there it is, trial by fire, covering the case of executed prisoner from Texas, Cameron Todd Willingham. Check it out. And if you haven't, you can check out my video, Legal Lynchings, on this YouTube channel. Like I said, I talked about, at least mentioned, Todd Willingham 10 years ago. So, this is Capital X TV. Please comment if you are pro-death penalty or on the fence or against the death penalty. I'd love to hear from you. Let's keep it clean, respectful, and I'll keep it respectful. Make sure you subscribe. I thank everybody that has subscribed, up until this point. But I appreciate if you would subscribe and hit that notification bell. That way you will be notified of my next video. Alright, till next time, it's Capital X TV. Peace.
If you support the death penalty and only one single innocent person is killed and killing an innocent person is murder, then you become murderers.